All right. Yeah, I'll get it. All right, hey guys. So we're the guys who did some of the guys who did the GoldPer10 rankings project. You probably saw some of our posts, Reddit, Twitter. So we had a lot of good feedback and a lot of criticism. So we wanted to go about address some of that, talk about why we rank certain teams and players in certain areas, and also talk about what we're gonna do next split to make the project better and more exciting for our fans. So yeah, the first thing we wanted to talk about was why we ranked the teams where they were right now, where we think they can improve their ceilings and their floors, and just various facts and information we have about the team members. So we're going to start at the team we ranked number 10, Team 8.
Will they be as bad as Philosophy?
Okay, so you said that you thought they would be a Velocity tier team in your...
I thought they would be close, yeah. I thought they'd be close. Especially because, I mean, there's only 18 games now. Like,
yeah.
How are they going to win? 3, 4? I'm trying to find teams that they could beat, you know, and I think they might split with Coast, split with Dig, but then you have to find like 1 or 2 wins elsewhere. They could blue shell somebody.
Yeah. So I mean, the interesting thing about Team 8 was that they were definitely the best challenger team in the challenger series. Like heading in, like Team Coast did manage to beat them in the first split. But after that, like the Team Coast imploded versus them, and they did that like weird roster move where they brought in the 2 clean solo queue players. Yeah, and then it did not end well for
Ringer,
Team Coast.
And they picked him up from a Brazilian team, did they? The Koreans had gone to a Brazilian team.
No, they picked him up from a. I remember talking about this on Challenge Chat with.
Yeah, it was Ringer and one other guy.
Oh man, Ringer and Miracle, and the reason they picked they were Diamond 2 solo queue players. They picked them up from a challenger Korean team, which like is really weird because I'm not sure if you guys knew.
EG just do that? Pick up. Well, they were Diamond 1.
Actually.
They're Diamond 1. Okay, they're Diamond.
Yeah, they were Diamond 1, but
so they're a little bit better.
The weird thing is that in Korean, like in the Korean like OGN like promotion, well, it was OGN back at the time, but they don't even use the challenger solo queue ladder, so it seems like anyone can really just get on that, and it was not a good decision. But now I think Team 8 didn't exactly make the best roster swaps, as in they didn't make roster swaps, and Coast and Gravity both really improved. We'll talk more about Gravity later because we ranked them much higher than they would have been expected to go in.
They lost to Team 8 earlier, but they made 2 great roster moves, which is...
Yeah, so the thing about Team 8 is everyone knows that CaliTrolls is a really great player. Huh? Sorry, keep going.
I was going to say Gravity and Coast swapped the player.
Oh yeah, they did. So the thing is that Team 8, like everyone knows, like CaliTrolls really great, like really transcendent player. But the thing about Team 8 is I feel like they have 2 inherent problems. One is that their players, just from a sheer roster fit standpoint, yeah, they're already not individually going to be superstars at their position, or at least I don't think they will be. But 2, I feel like they have some. It's like weird because I feel like their players don't exactly fit well together, both in the meta and in how they play together. Specifically, the 2 players I want to talk about I feel like their 2 best players are CaliTrolls and Maple/Slushy are like they're kind of like tied for like the second joint best player.
Did we rate Slushy as like the worst mid laner in the?
Yeah, I don't agree with that one. I personally rated him a little bit higher. I think that guy like he has a few champions that he really excels on. I think his Orianna is really good. His Yasuo is really good. Those are the 2 champions he was really well known for. He had a really good Riven back when it was like actually played.
I think everyone on Team 8 has like a random pocket pick that they bring.
Yeah.
Like Callie has that Katarina. His Fizz was better than the Katarina, but he has those like random off meta picks that he brings out.
Yeah. No, I agree. So overall, to give a brief breakdown of the players from my perspective of it, I feel like CaliTrolls is a really good player, carry top laner. Porpoise, I feel like he's just like a very average jungler. Like he's not going to feed the game for you. He might make some pretty good plays. One champion I was really impressed with him on was his Nocturne. Like that's always been his pocket pick. Like you mentioned, all teammates got those pocket picks. He was also a really solid Vi player. So he clearly is good at conceptualizing those champions where he can just get a random pick, and those will come out really big for Team 8 in the Challenger Series, but I'm worried that might be a little bit less helpful in the LCS, especially because both Porpoise Pops and Dodo struggle with vision control. Team 8 has very poor vision control. Like, their warding is subpar, especially from the jungler. Like, jungler should be a position that wards a lot.
Right.
Porpoise, not the best warder. Solo laners, not the best at warding. And Dodo gets caught out a lot. Like
Well, that's the
he was
problem. He and
yeah.
Maple Street, like the guy's like really thinks he's really good. So I think in some matchups where he might have a little bit of higher opinion of himself and might not be as careful as he should. Because I mean, the jungle pool in NA is not bad this season, surprisingly.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's gotten better, mostly through imports. But,
Yeah,
but
the EU jungle scene's gotten a lot better, and it's rolled over.
yeah, it's gotten a lot larger. So yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I feel like what was I saying? Yeah, so on Dodo, he was really good in season 3 for a challenger player because he was a beast on Annie, he was a beast on Leona. Like back when the meta was really those hard engage support, he was the main engager on Team 8. Now they have Porpoise to play that role, which is good because Guess8, who they had before, was more of a like an assassin-y carry jungler. So now they have Porpoise and Dodo to kind of fill those off roles, but neither of them can like Porpoise will get good picks and so will Dodo, but they'll also get caught out a lot and they won't warden well. So that could be one of their main faults. But the one thing that I feel like is both their greatest strength and weakness is like that Cali Trolls has all those carry picks top lane, but playing those carry picks means that you're very bad as a split pusher and you're very bad in terms of wave control.
He doesn't
Because
play any,
yeah, exactly. Like
except for Nidalee.
yeah, who got nerfed. Like Nidalee's not the old bruiser Nidalee isn't really in the meta right now. You can't
Right.
you AP Nidalee, he still plays it. He's good on it, but you can't exactly split push well on it. And the problem with that is you'll notice that teammate will they'll like the Winions, they'll do like the
Right.
anti-Winions. Like they'll do Winions on themselves because Cali Trolls will try to TP into a team fight when the other team already has a big wave built up, and they can't team fight without Cali Trolls. He's their main carry.
Right.
But at the same time,
His
if
Naruto.
Cali yeah, at the same time, if Cali Trolls is split pushing, teammate is so screwed because their main carry isn't there.
Right, and the thing is, like, I guess with what Cali Trolls likes to do, I feel like they're really limited strategically, and because they have split, like, what are they going to do against a team like TSM or Cloud9, someone with like a higher or Bjergsen or even Shiphtur who's just gonna, or I guess even CLG is sending Zion's part into a side lane just to like, just go.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
saying throw 'em on Jacks, like, who's teammate going to put them? Like, yeah, I think Cali could hold off Zion or, any of those split. I mean, but against, like, more assassin pick or even if he held him on, like, the rest of the team's screwed.
Yeah,
The rest of the team is really screwed. Because he needs to be in two places at once.
yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that. The one thing I do want to note is I do think we underrated Slushie a little bit. That guy, like I said, he's good, and Maple is good, but the problem is that those two are both very, like, Maple is kind of out of the meta right now. Like, when I think
they're
of
limited.
Maple,
They both have, like, just 3 champions they play. Like, Maple plays, like, Trinity Force 80 carries. That's it. Like, it's Corki, Kog'Maw, Lucian. Which is fine, except for Corki's in an okay spot, but Lucian got nerfed to hell, but he can play Graves.
yeah, he's a good Graves. He's a really good
that's
Graves.
fine.
He's always had that Graves.
And I know he used to play Caitlyn back in the day, and guys, Caitlyn's always a decent pick. You can fit him in there, but like Slushie, I think he literally played like 50 to 70% of his games on Orianna through the entire Challenger series, and then he had Yasuo as another pick, and that was like this pretty much it. He just had 3 picks that he played over and over again, and a lot of the other teams they could just ban out those guys and laugh because they have much like someone like one of the mid laners like Bjergsen or Shiphtur, like those guys have like really, really large champion pools.
Yeah.
Like really large champion pools. Like they can play anything you want. But Slushie is just like I can play Yasuo, Orianna, and Syndra. Syndra just got nerfed. Orianna is always viable, but other teams can just ban it, and then that leaves him with Yasuo. And then they have to build a Yasuo comp.
Yeah. I agree. One other thing I wanted to bring up was, Lol Isan on Twitter. He's a really big follower of the Challenger scene too, and he sent me his alternate ranking. So I just wanted to bring this quick point up. But he actually has teammate ranked number 7. He thinks they'll be pretty good, and his opinion was that he thinks that teammate does have he thinks that teammate is like a more cerebral team. Like I mentioned, they are good at getting those picks. Kali is good at TPing in at the right time. So he made those points. He's like, they're good at group fighting, they're good at teleport plays, and they do have good pick/objective control. But I just feel like overall the issue with them is that like their wonky setups still stand, and I feel like their championship pool problems and their pretty much just their lack of like individual skill outside of top lane will like end up keeping them down compared to the other teams. I can see them beating Dignitas maybe. Like I said, I think Coast is really good.
Being Dignitas twice because like a lot of the things that Teammate is somewhat good on are kind of things that Dignitas is not good on at all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if Teammate can survive the split, if they can make it to Summer Split, I think with that split of experience, if they can try to develop some other alternative strategies over the course of that split instead of using like a one-trick pony, they might be able to climb a little higher. I certainly don't see them. I mean, we don't know what teams are in challenge right now. It's pretty much just going to be whatever roster fusion comes together, and then all the usual suspects of like Pro. They'll put together They'll put together random rosters and throw them in there and hope they strike gold. That's like what happens every single challenge.
No, that's true. No, that's actually true. All right, so it seems like pretty much in agreement, teammate. I do think they have potential. Like we both think they have like potential to rise up, but perhaps not too high.
Everyone else ranked them 9th place.
Coast is going to be really good. Coast is going to be really good. Time to talk about Coast. They're going to be really good. Okay.
Okay, so we're qualifying really good as being like not last, right? Like,
they're going to be. I think Coast will be a playoff team.
Okay, so that's top 6.
That's top 6. Yeah, Coast will be a playoff team, and they'll be scary. Like they'll be a scary playoff team.
You think they could they could be like GGU like spring 2013 when they like randomly went on some hot streak to the finals?
I do think that Coast. Okay, the weird thing about Coast is they have always been a team where you don't want them in the playoffs. Even that one split where they were so terrible, like the summer after they went to second place in the playoffs.
The velocity split.
Yeah, the velocity. Nobody wants to play Team Coast. Like, for some reason, they always manage to find a weird group of players who are really scary, and I think this team is the same, and time to explain why.
Yeah, go for it. I think they're going to need a meta to roll into their...
Yeah, that's part of it.
Like, Jessus is like... There's like one subset of mid-champions that he's good at, and he can stall the hell out of a game because he just plays Ziggs, but like... Yeah, no, go for it. It's...
Okay, so, first off, one thing that I feel like is really important in teams, like any team, like I don't mean just like in NA, is having a strong identity. Like if you ever think of a classic like really strong team, like you'll always think of like a specific thing, like World Elite stalling for like WeiXiao or like
CLG
I don't know, like CLG
wait
EU
till 40 minutes and then win the game.
Yeah, or like Gambit's like see hero kill hero style where they're always getting those picks, always getting those skirmishes. Like
is the best CC.
Coast has their identity. Like if you look at what they play, every single game they play the exact same thing. I broke this down in my article. Basically, Cris will play like kind of like a tankier, supportish top laner, which isn't exactly his role, and I'll get into that later on. But that's what they make him play for now. And then it's kind of what they made Rux play too. And then Jez's, well, he'll play like the famous Jez's champions like Ziggs, Ahri, like Orianna, just stall, wave clear, try to get some damage, like be a good backline damage champion. Impaler will play like he'll be their main engage. Like just think of like Jarvan, Vi. His Vi was famous. Elise, like just Rengar. His Rengar is also really good. Like just get those engages in.
I know it's NA, man. Legally required. He's gonna be the best at Rengar. Legally required.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry, dude. Impaler is the best Rengar NA. So
it would be hard. We're setting a very low bar for that.
So what was, Sheep will play like engagey, like playmaking supports. Like he's a big playmaker from the support role, and Mashmi will play champions that are like... He's always been really good at those like hyper carry champions, like the Vayne, the Twitch, like or it's probably his 2 signature champions. Like, but he's also really good at like Lucian, Graves. Like basically what he tries to do is he just tries to blow you up in lane, and he just tries to like snowball that really hard into like teamfight victories. And the team is like on board with that. Like they play all their games like they're a one-dimensional team in both the negative sense of like what they're gonna do. It's easy to counter because they might not be able to execute these strategies at an LCS level. Like their solo laner combination is pretty weak. It's looking pretty weak. Their bot lane won a lot of the games in the Challenger split, but being the best bot lane in Challenger doesn't necessarily translate into being the best bot lane in NA.
It does say a lot about NA's mid pool that Jessus was like below average in Europe, and he's probably above average here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
The thing is though, like, Mashmi wants to smash like. But, I mean, we're talking Doublelift and Aphromoo. We got Rush Hour, Sneaky Elimination, Piglet and Xpecial, which, I mean, Piglet's not playing the first week, and I think the second week is questionable because of visa issues.
Yeah.
But, like, by the end of the split, I mean, Xpecial is instinctive, and I think Piglet is too. So those guys are going to be a really good bot lane. So that's at least 3. Altec's going to be in Imagine jail, so he's gonna he's gonna be trouble. But
I've heard that guy is pretty good actually. I've heard.
We're going to assume he's going to be in Imagine. I don't think he's going to be as good as Krepo.
Yeah, no, Krepo was actually a really good player.
So I don't think he's going to. So there'll be some teams they can smash. Like us, like I think they could probably smash Wiz and Adrian.
Yeah.
Sorry, Apollo and Adrian on Impulse, and they could probably and Dignitas definitely core and QBK for sure. So I definitely see where Coast could put together like 6 or 7 wins, just based on taking advantage of like some of the other weak teams and maybe sneak themselves into the 6th place spot. It's gonna be there's gonna be like a few really, really bad teams, a few really good teams, and then like 6 teams in the middle with records like within a few points of each other.
I think Coast is going to be in the middle. So to keep on going with that, you mentioned briefly that you think that if the meta swings in their favor, they'll be in really good shape. Cris, like, okay, I spoke really lowly. Like, I don't think Cris is good. I think Cris, honestly,
1.
I did give Cris a 1, and I do think Cris cost Cris Academy the series against CLG. Like, I don't think Seraph was very good, and he was crushed.
Seraph dumped on with Rise.
Yeah, and Cris was also really bad in the Challenger split. But the weird thing about Cris is, like, people don't notice this, but okay. So right now, actually, we checked before the stream, and his solo queue account was not as high. Maybe he's got a Smurf. I do think he's got a Smurf. So, well, let me actually look that up again. I want to look up Coast Cris. I think that's his other account. But that guy, he was top solo queue player in season 3 and season 4. Okay, yeah. So his main account right now is Master 1, ranked 220. It's not as good as normally. Like he was legit a top 10 solo queue player in season 3 and 4, and the thing about Cris is that he will always find a champion or 2 to excel on, and he'll be like a complete terror on that champion. So I'm thinking of his Elise on Velocity was like their one shining point. Like,
oh right, she was a top laner. I forgot about that. No, that was when the famous Nien play from CLG.
Yeah.
When he like 4 versus 1 TSM. Yeah, I forgot she was a top laner in season 3.
Yeah, and Cris was really good on that champ. So I actually remember I was in an interview with Maple Street a while back, and the thing he said pretty much embodies like Chris's career. He was like, yeah, like Cris would really carry us on Elise, but then like the game would go on like 1 month after Elise was just nerfed like 8 times, he would just like first pick tank top Elise and be like, all right guys, we won this game, and then like we would just lose because Elise was terrible at the time. And that's the thing, like he'll find his really good comfort zone, he'll go on like a huge hot streak, and then he'll be like, okay, fuck, like what do I play now? They banned my champ, or they've like my champ's been nerfed, or something like that, and he'll be in a lot of trouble. Like I'm thinking of his Elise, his Shyvana, his Riven were all really fearsome picks. His Jace, he was a god on solo queue with Jace, but he never really, I feel like he didn't translate that very well into professional play. Just because Jace is like a wonky
team comp with that.
Yeah.
Like if it's a poke champion, though I swear like you can play him as a bruiser. His hammer form damage is absurd, and it deals mixed damage, so it's really dumb. But he didn't have an AD carry. He had Wiz. He had Wiz. Wiz was the AD carry on Coast this spring. Who was the AD carry on Coast last?
It was Don't Mash Me.
No, who's the AD carry for
Chris's
Velocity,
team?
For Velocity.
It was Maple Street.
Oh, you're right. It was. I get Velocity.
Maple Street was really good then, though.
So here's the thing. Yeah, but his champion pool is always so small.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like I said, I don't think like he's just an interesting player. Like I always feel like I'm not sure what his practice. Like I mean, this is complete like outside. I have no information on this, but it just seems like honestly, Cris when he gets he's like a lesser version of like Wicked. Like people always joke, oh dude, Wicked can only play Irelia. Like Cris, like he finds those picks and he goes really hot on them, and he's like a legit top tier top laner. But the reason I gave him a 1 is because like in pro play, there's picks and bans, there's counter picks, and I just really don't think he'll be able to translate that into professional play. I'm hoping that if he gets another split of it, he'll be able to, because I really can see the potential there for him to be like actually a pretty good player. Like it's funny that I think he's really bad right now, but I think
the meta is just he needs a carry meta.
Yeah, that's another thing.
He needs a Riven. Like back when Lee Sin was play top, like
Riven,
like that.
Jace, Elise, and then Cris will be like, all right, guys.
Like I got this, guys.
Time to show. Right. Oh my god.
But he and Maple are similar, as they both pick one champion and ride it until they die.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure Maple played Corky for all 5 games against Complexity.
Yeah, we forgot to mention this, but you noted in your article that a lot of challenger teams were trying to ban out Cali trolls, but we think that the NA teams will be able to just let him have what he wants and target his teammates, and that could be a pretty frightening proposition for them.
With Coast, it's like you're not gonna ban out Justice because like, are you really gonna throw the ban at Ziggs? Like, no one's gonna do that.
Yeah.
A Ziggs is a great champion for a team like Coast that might struggle with map movements just because it's just like his ultimate's a get out of jail free card if you don't rotate properly. It's like, oh well, that wave's gone. Now we have an extra 30 seconds to get to the tower.
Yeah,
I'm not as high on Mash's Sheep as I think other people are. I certainly think Sheep is good. Like, he's worthy of being in the LCS. I like that Mash is there. Mash, to me, this split is like Westright's last split, where I'm just glad he finally made it back.
Dude, he's gonna be good, okay? I'm still on the Mash hype train since GGU, but that guy's such a big-time player. If you notice, every single playoff series he plays plays his heart out. He's always carrying his team. Unfortunately, it really speaks poorly of your career and like your circumstances if most of these big-time games have come in the challenger scene and you're losing like 3-2. Like the classic Mash series is like he goes big on like Twitch or Vayne, or like to a lesser extent Lucian I think would be another signature champion of his now, and like he goes really big and then like you're like he loses game 1 and then you win like games 2 and 3 and you're like, wow dude, it's time for Mashme to get back in the LCS, and then like he'll lose the last 2 games in like heartbreaking fashion, like look like some terrible throws, and you're like, oh my god, dude, this is the worst. Like they almost beat Complexity, and Complexity did make it into LCS.
It's such a crapshoot right now because they do the both sides either take the Crumbz or what's the other guy's name?
Gromp,
right. So it's a crapshoot. It's literally whoever gets the lane first is going to win the lane, because it's back to. Because this was, remember when the small camps used to spawn at 130, and then the big buff spawn went 5. They changed that because they didn't want blue side to be able to get an advantage by being able to kill double golems. Well, now both sides have something to kill, and it's just like this mad dash to see who can do it faster. And then whoever gets the lane first, it's just like they can all in at level 2, and the other team and the other bot lane has just like back up to the tower. And
that has never worked out well.
Sheep does like to be aggressive. Mash likes to be aggressive, so if they can do that faster, but it's weird because if you choose to do that, then you leave your jungler high and dry, which means that he's not going to be able to gank as early because he's going to take more damage from the buffs, and he's also not. It's the meta's so weird right now.
Yeah, it's you've got to make a lot of interesting choices to decide. It's good
though, because that's what Riot wants. They want people to have to make meaningful decisions.
Oh yeah, the meaningful.
We haven't even mentioned Impaler. Impaler is probably the best player on this Ghost team.
Oh, I think they're bot lane's best players, but yeah, Impaler's really good. I'm really hot on this bot lane, dude. They're good.
It's the same. Impaler's the same thing as Jessis. Like he was average to maybe a little below average in EU, but I mean,
no, I think he was above average in EU. He was really good on Super Hot Crew. Like I think he was
the worst name of all. Okay, sorry, not the worst name of all time, but close.
Yo, they were top 3 team Super Hot Crew in LCS.
Either way, he's good in NA because
he's for sure good in NA. I thought he was above average in EU,
like,
but he wasn't like.
We gave Medios like an average score of 9.8, which so deserves. In fact, I'm the only person to give him a 10. So anyone who's watched this, feel free to hate me. I have no idea why I didn't give Medios a 10. He deserves it. Honestly, to me, it's like Medios 10, and no one else is anywhere close than maybe an 8.
That's true. I don't know. We'll get into this later, but I think there are some players who you're underrating a little bit in the
jungler lover in NA.
Dude, there's some pretty good Okay, the junglers I think are good in NA are like Helios, who's not even from NA, and like I will dominate from NA, but
let's give Crumbz an 8.
I'm getting into that one later too.
Right. You're gonna want to defend that because like that was one of the comments that came up in on Reddit a lot, was just like, why is this why is this shitter ranked in 8?
Yeah, we have a list of players who we're gonna talk about. So we already talked about Don't Mash Me. We talked about Okay, most of the guys who we're talking about are coming up later on, so I'll make sure to keep them in mind. But Crumbz is one of the players who I wanted to talk about.
Alright,
so time to move on to Dignitas. We both think Dig will be bad. A lot of guys who I've talked behind the scenes thinks Dig will be bad.
I guess because Dig has like Shiphtur. Dig is literally Dignitas. Always Dignitas. Okay, they have two. They have two pretty solid to great solo laners, and Shiphtur and Gamsu's getting a lot of rave reviews from some people. I think he might not be quite as.
No, I think he's really good, but I can see why.
Well, he's probably just gonna be like another Zion sparring, because I think Dignitas is a bit like COG in my opinion. Is that they do that? They just leave their top laner up there and hope stuff works.
Yeah, except that's interesting because they do that, but the thing is, the guys who they've picked for top lane have honestly been a lot better than the guys CLG has picked for top lane.
They hope, like, that's for sure. That's for sure. But here's the thing.
That's just not true.
Think about this for a second. Is Shiphtur on a better team than the Coast roster last spring?
No,
that's the thing.
He's not a worse team.
He moved to Dignitas because he was trying to escape jail. Like they had all those like interpersonal issues because he just kind of like separated himself from the rest.
Not on a better team right now. He's on a worse team for sure.
And now it's like
maybe not for sure, but
his bot lane. Well, the Kiwi Kid's still there. That's about the same. But I think Core is probably worse than Mash.
Or is not as good as Cutie Pie, yeah.
And definitely not as good as Cutie. Like, Cutie Pie has his moments. Like, I think Cutie Pie, like, Cutie Pie thought he was really good. Like, every time he do those interviews, he'd be like, yo, Eddie has such good AD carries.
Yeah,
like, me and me. But it's Cutie Pie, so it's just like, he just gets forgiven.
So that guy, he made some really ballsy plays. The play that always defined Cutie Pie for me was that one time he was playing Corki. He banned 3 of Doubles champions, and he picks Corki, and he tries to steal the golems in Season 3, and then he just got wrecked. Like, it was like, what are you doing, buddy? And he was like, yo, man, I'm just gonna hide in this bush the whole game, and I'm gonna hit the goal.
Like, Dignitas had decent-sized win streaks in the spring split and the summer split. Like, if you look back at the spring split, did he, like, not die for, like, 3 or 4 straight games or something? Like, Cutie Pie, his jinx was absurd. His jinx was absolutely absurd. Like, you had to ban that or you were going to lose to Dignitas.
Yeah, no, I think... Okay, so, Core, hard player to evaluate. Something I want to bring up was he has a lot of fans in Korea. They think he'll be really good. Like, this is... Like, the Seraph situation was they picked up a guy, Seraph, who was actually not very well known in Korea. Like, he was, like, a bench player for Najin. Like, he wasn't actually well known in Korea.
He played, like, 1 game for him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did good that game, though. But Thorn used to joke, oh, yeah, he's like the 96th best player in like Korea or something like that. It's kind of true. Core, top 10 solo queue player, a big fan following in Korea. They all think, they really love his work ethic. They think he's going to be really good. They think that the team he was on, name's not coming to mind right now, but I distinctly remember they said the team he was on was full of 5 individually talented players who just didn't mesh well together. I did not see that at IEM. He looked pretty bad. It's hard to separate that when you're like, honestly, Kiwi Kid is pretty bad. Like, he's not a very good player.
It's the problem. It's hard to evaluate because everyone loves the guy. I mean, City, but I mean, like Core had 6. He was on Big File Miracle. Then they played 3. You know, the best of 2s that OGN likes to do, and he went 0-6. And,
No, he wasn't particularly impressive at IEM, but I did want to bring up a lot of fans of hype around him. But the one player I do want to talk about is Crumbz.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Crumbz. Okay, so I gave Crumbz an 8. Okay, it's weird. You know who else is on the Crumbz hype chain is Thorin. Thorin thinks Crumbz is really damn good too.
Oh no, he does. Yeah. No.
You know why?
He said that in like 3 or 4 Summoner Insights.
There are good reasons to why people think Crumbz is good. Every time Dignitas goes on their win streak, it was because of Crumbz. It was because of Crumbz and one other player.
No, I agree with you, because the thing is, Crumbz starts off every split really good.
Like, he's like a god. Like,
and then he forgets how to play in the middle.
He literally forgets how to play League of Legends.
It makes no sense. It's just like, we're in the 4th week, guys. Amnesia time. It's amnesia time. I got this. I hit my head yesterday. I agree with you. Like, oh my god. It's frustrating.
Part of it is that fans actually have like they have a very short-term memory on these things, but every single split, Dignitas will go through these weeks, but like, damn, Dignitas, man, what about Dignitas? And it'll always be like, it was like Scarra plus Crumbz, or like Kiwi Kid plus, no, not Kiwi Kid, Cutie Pie plus Crumbz. Actually, for a while, it was Kiwi Kid plus Crumbz. That one time period where Kiwi Kid was like really beasting up on Annie, and that was really weird too. But like, Crumbz will always like, he'll always be like, he always meta jungler, he's like the meta jungler Lee Sin, Elise, like, he's like really good on those picks. He wants to play Rengar a lot. I think his Rengar is better than some in NA, but it's still terrible. Like, it's hard to tell if his Rengar is terrible because he's playing it during his time periods, or he's just terrible, or if his Rengar is just plain terrible. But like,
it's an NA Rengar.
honestly, Crumbz, you know what they should consider doing? They should honestly consider playing like someone other than Crumbz for like the first like 5 weeks, and then just dusting off Crumbz for like the last 5 weeks of play. I'm not even kidding. Like I remember the first Dig split, the first split where Dig was tearing up the league.
Right.
They went on like that huge winning streak that Cloud9 broke the split after, so it didn't seem as crazy. But it was like a double-digit game winning streak. That was an actual crazy thing to happen. Like I think it might be the second longest winning streak after Cloud9, maybe. Not sure about that one. Don't quote me on it. But
they won 7 in a row, I think.
I thought it was double digits, but I might be wrong. I thought it was. I might be wrong though.
That'd be hard because if there was double digits, that means they won like no other games that season. Because I don't remember. Too many.
Oh man, no, they won like 17 games. I thought.
You talking about the spring split of last year?
No, the first spring split.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say spring split last year they won.
No, they didn't win that many games. That would have been a very Dignitas season though. Like 4 losses, 12 wins, and then like the rest of them are all losses too.
Well, yeah, because they started off they started off well, and then they were one of those teams that remember last spring they did that weird thing where they let a team actually take a week off so they could go do an IEM. Like,
yeah, and then
they came back and they did terrible. Like they were like doing pretty good. They went 3-0 in a week.
Yeah.
Extra game, and then next week they did play. They went to, I think they did badly at the IEM. Was it San Paulo they went to?
No, they didn't go.
Right, they ended up not going.
Yeah,
right? They were going to go and then backed out.
Should have taken that week off.
That's like the worst decision of all time. Okay, not of all time.
So then, yeah, I don't know about them, but Crumbz, like, I don't even know. Like, he's just a baffling player. Like, when he's at the top of his game, he's so good. Like, he's like a genuine superstar. But at the bottom of his game,
in my previous days, I mentioned I have a theory that maybe he just like. One of the things that's famous about Dyrus is that he has to play a lot of solo queue in order to like adjust to new metas. Like he just spams solo queue to pick up champions. Like he needs a lot of practice to do it. And I guess my wonder is maybe the reason Crumbz falls off in the middle of the split is he's got the time before the split where he's just playing a lot of solo queue, a lot of practice. But he's not able to maintain the same level of practice during this split because 2 of the days are taken up by practices, by actual games, and then there's like your day. Most of the teams have like Monday off.
Yeah.
And then they have scrim days. Maybe he can't play as much solo queue to keep his mechanics up, so he just falls off because he doesn't have the amount of practice he needs.
Yeah, keep in mind this is all just speculation, but that does make sense. Like it is a very interesting thing how that happens. As for the rest of Dignitas, Shiphtur's a very controversial player. Like people think he's good, sometimes people think he's bad. Like people say.
I followed Shiphtur a lot, I guess. And the thing with Shiphtur is like he's really good when his team's ahead. Like really good. Like he's normally just like stone cold. Like if his team's ahead, they're going to do well. But if his team's behind. He's not willing. It's because it's from back when he was on Coast because he was literally scared to die. So like when you're behind, you need a stopper. You need someone who's going to go in there and make that risky play to bring you back into the game. And Shiphtur needs to be that player because they put all their resources into him. Like they build him up to be a player, but he's never is. Like he'll hang too far back. He'll just like this. This was back when Ziggs was really big in the man who one of Shiphtur's best picks. And you just lob balls in. But then there's that famous game between Coast then and TSM.
Oh yeah.
Remember the Katarina, he just like Coast was getting smashed, right? And I think they still end up losing that game. But Shiphtur's on Katarina.
I thought you were talking about the game he played. No, I thought you were talking about the game where he played Ari and backdoor TSM.
No,
there's another one?
This is the game where he played Katarina.
Okay.
So they're I could give you the clip actually. They're positioning around Baron, right? And Coast catches TSM in that in the ramp between Blue and Baron, right?
Yeah.
So they're all caught up in this little spot, and Shiphtur just goes there and he does what Katarina does, pretty much. He does Katarina things. So he just jumps in. It was set up by Daydreamin, who landed like a Leona ultimate, right? And then Katarina just goes in and picks up like a quadra kill.
Yo, we need to. By the way, we're linking this game in the. We'll link the game we're talking about in the on the actual like article when we put this out. So just so people know. But yeah,
so
no.
TSM was down by like Coast was down by like 9,000 gold in that game. And Shiphtur used to be known for those champions. Like he was known for Katarina. He was known for those champions who would be able to do those things.
Kassadin was one of his other signature champions. Like it was back then. It was Kassadin, Katarina, and oh man, there was one other. It was still Ahri. No, it was still Ahri. Yeah, but his Ahri style went from like the old Shiphtur Ahri, which was like just like smashing your face in like in front of you, to like the new Shiphtur Ahri.
Cause last spring it was in the first game they played TSM. It was everyone remember because Bjergsen just kept solo killing him, and then later on in the game. Like, it was Shiphtur, later on in the season, it was Shiphtur who was picking up the kills on Bjergsen. He caught him over the wall. He caught him over a wall with a taunt. And killed him. But
oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's like Shiphtur's big thing. It's like, when his team's behind, he won't go in and be that person.
Yeah, and he's going to be behind a lot this season.
Right, that's the problem. He's going to be behind a lot. And he's going to be the person who can make that happen. Like, if you think of like XPK or something, or XPK or someone, like he will do what his team needs him to win. Or like even like throwback to like old school TSM Reginald, he'd be like, I'm on Karthus, I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna like slash into all of you. Like I'm gonna make this play happen. If people laugh at me and it doesn't work, it's fine, whatever. It doesn't work. But like those aggressive plays work, and Shiphtur never does it. He never does it. Because he just doesn't die. It's like, my KDA looks really good because I died like once. But
when he does go in, it's also oftentimes too little too late, if you remember what I'm talking about. There were those games in Gambit, he was making some stops, but they were already down by like 5 to 7k gold, and you can see his like brilliance come through those moments. He was playing Ahri against, and he was like dashing through their team, he killed like 2-3 people, and I was like, okay, well, this is the guy who we need to see, but we needed to see it like 10 minutes ago when like the game was like teetering back and forth, and it was.
I don't think anyone would say that he and Bjergsen, for example, they have equal mechanics.
Yeah.
But Bjergsen just like he's a killer.
Yeah.
Like he will go in there and just murder you, which is why it makes me so sad that he's shot calling, because like the Bjergsen from Spling Split was insane. Like when he just got like 18 kills on the block.
That was his peak, actually. We'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah, but Shiphtur could be that person for Dignitas, and if he was, I mean. If you look at the teams, right, there's a lot of teams in the LCS right this season that have 2 really good players. So I think that like middle pack, like look at Tip. They have XiaoWeiXiao and Impact.
Those guys
and
are.
Then they have a wild card who in their team is Rush, and then 2 subpar pairs, which is probably Wiz and Adrian. There's a bunch of teams like that.
Yeah, there are.
They have 2 really good players, and then a bunch of iffy ones. And whichever one of those teams has those 2 players step up consistently is going to be the one that actually sneaks their way into the playoffs. And
or like I mentioned, the other guys, like the other guys, quick pause, but the other guys like also growing and getting better, or like showing things that we didn't like expect.
It is going to be a little harder for a team to pull a GGU because it's all best of 5s now. And
it's a different league.
Right, like if
teams are like way better now. Like
if you had best of 3s, TSM doesn't win the split last year.
Yeah,
they were down 1-2 to both.
They might not even make Worlds actually.
Yeah,
they might not even have made Worlds.
Curse. They would have had to play Curse. I don't know if they would have beaten Curse.
Yeah,
because they were down 1-2 to both LMQ and Cloud9, and then they won the last 2 games. So, the obviously going to best of 5 has made a huge difference already.
No, I think it's a good difference.
But I dig. There's going to be a lot of teams that their only games are going to be against each other. We might end up with like a 2 or 3-way tie at the bottom. Because if you look at like Coast, you like Coast. If you look
Coast is gonna be good, dude.
If you look at Dignitas, Team 8, and maybe like I don't know, I'm torn on Wintfox and Tip. Like if you look at those teams, they might all just split against each other and have like 3 teams with the same record at the bottom. Which would be nuts. Especially with the automatic demotion. So they're gonna have to play like a playoff to see which of them gets demoted. Yeah. Which would suck.
So Tip.
Just the
Tip. It's the team that, like you said, that you thought Tip would just make fun of you. Like they could be a top four team. You said.
I think Tip. I mean, I guess for me, like, yeah, their bot lane's probably not going to be that great. I do think, like, in the case of, like, obviously XiaoWeiXiao, this was actually, I got a lot of hate for this. Because, and they're probably correct, XiaoWeiXiao outplayed Bjergsen for most of the summer split. It was just in the playoffs where Bjergsen returned to, like, his god mode
Yeah,
status.
that's true.
Yeah, so XiaoWeiXiao is without a doubt, like, one of the two best mids in North America.
Yeah.
And, like, the gap between those two and the rest, because XiaoWeiXiao has the carry mentality that Shiphtur is missing. I think Pole Belter is going to be really good, but until we see it, I don't want to guarantee. So XiaoWeiXiao and Bjergsen are the two best mids. And even if you look at Impact, even if he's not as good as maybe he was when he was on SKTT1, he's still probably going to be really good.
He was pretty good in preseason.
Right, and I mean this is North America where the top pool just really isn't that good.
Yeah.
It's certainly a lot better this season, but like in past seasons, it's been like 2 or 3 people, and everyone else isn't very good. So I think Impact will probably be a top 3 top laner. XiaoWeiXiao is a top 2 mid laner. And I guess for me, with Rush, like, if you look at the solo queue ladder in Korea, he got to number 1, and all the players around him, you're talking about like Deft, Dade, Faker, Apto's there obviously as well. You don't end up in that group of people and not be good.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing with him is, if Team Impulse can figure out having 2 Korean players,
a Chinese player,
and 2 English players, like, and granted, I think they're going to default to English because XiaoWeiXiao has had a year of practicing English. I think
he was the worst English speaker on LMQ though.
Right. Well, Rush is fluent in both though, correct? I think he's going to be acting as the translator.
Okay, I have heard something like that too. I've heard Impact has... No, I heard that it was Impact who had better English, because as Impact had to stay there some time. But I think they have some kind of patchwork way to work it out.
They're going to be using English, because that's what makes the most sense, because XiaoWeiXiao's practice it as opposed to practicing Korean.
Yeah.
And I think Rush and Impact at least have some basic level. I mean, everyone's just a pings, dragon, all that stuff.
Okay, on pings, the ping to win thing though, like, okay, that to some extent that's true.
It only works if you're every player on the team has the same exact mentality. Yeah. It worked for Star and Royal Club because they're all just like, they want to murder you. Every single player on the team, they're just like, if you ping the tower dive, they're all. It's like when MacNoon was on. Was it Najin he was on? Or is it, yeah. It was like MacNoon circa 2000.
He just like go, and
right.
he just
it's
like
go.
Go.
They build a team around him, like ping the tower. Everyone's just like, yeah, tower dive, we got this.
But see, the thing is, another thing is, and it's important to note, like Uzi and who's the other guy? Uzi and Insec. These guys are top 4 players ever to play the game.
When you have
like, they're both top 4 ever. I think Uzi is maybe top 3, top.
You
maybe
have
even
one of the 2 best AD carries of all time, depending on how you view WeiXiao.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like that's it. It's
also,
like one of the 2
Insec is top 4. Insec is top 4. It's like Diamond Procs.
He's not up there anymore, though.
He was okay. So when he played for Royal,
historically, he's like a top 4 AD
jungler.
But I think he's probably still in the top 10. But he's too risky.
Yeah, that's true.
He makes too many like. He'll just go in 1 versus 5 and then be like, team.
Hey, stay tuned for these in next split's LPL rankings.
Yeah, that's true. I'm excited for those because I mean I'm excited for that.
Hey, and the cool thing is Insec did keep his word. I just wanted to point out that he said he was leaving Starhoy unless they made the finals, and now he's staying because they made the finals. So
yeah,
pretty cool story.
They did get a slightly easier. I mean,
I don't know
if they would have beaten Blue. I think they could have had a decent chance of beating Blue.
Yeah.
I mean, Uzi's.
He was going nuts.
Uzi's absurd, man. Like I know that like Name was the better AD carry during the regular season, but I'm like a big sport. I follow a lot of Major League sports in the United States, and like it's all about the ring. Like really, it is. Like if you getting to the playoffs is it's hard, but it's just the game is just starting once you get to the playoffs. And Uzi you don't get to the World Finals twice back to back for nothing. And he's just... I just remember that when they were playing TSM, I think Turtle was down by like 80 CS in like 15 minutes. Like something that's like patently absurd. Like just absolutely absurd how much he was down.
Yeah, no.
Granted, Turtle's laning's been terrible, but
Yeah, we'll talk about that later too.
so yeah, I
there's
think
so many players who we want to
back
talk
to
about.
Tip. That was
Back
like
to
the
yeah.
world's biggest tangent. Yeah, no, I'm pretty. If they can figure out the languages, like I think by summer split, they could be really scary. At the very least, they're going to be like no team's going to go in against Tip comfortable that they're going.
Yeah,
to
you don't
win.
want to play them. They're a team that you just don't want to play. Like you don't want to mess with that,
'Cause, like,
especially because Wiz has a lot of potential. We were talking about the solo queue ladder right before. He's
Yeah.
top 10.
yeah,
that
he's
guy-
like 10th or 11th. Yeah,
So the thing, so just from a roster construction standpoint, it's always a good bet to grab onto those guys who are like, let's be frank, like they're just kind of chokers. They're not that good,
right.
and but you can see the mechanics are there. This guy has really good like backline positioning. He plays like Varus and Jinx are probably like the two champions I would most associate with him. He can like
All
he can
meta
like
picks though. Wow.
yeah, they're not meta. Yeah, okay, so but he can play the meta champions decently.
Well, I mean,
I-
Varus is. I mean,
Varus
if you
is
pick
interesting.
Varus into the right champion,
Yeah, and he's a lane bully. Like Varus is a lane bully.
yeah, like if for some reason they were going against CLG and Doublelift just like, it's Bane time. You could,
He. Oh man, how do I put it? If he pans out, he'll be really good. People forget this, but like, there's a lot of guys who had a first split of the LCS, but they were pretty bad, and then
Yeah,
they got
true.
really good. Quas was one of them. His first
Cross
LCS
has
split.
gotten better with each subsequent split.
People forget this, but Cop was the main carry of that curse team. Like there would be, oh my god, guys, do you think Cop is underrated? Like if you remember that was back in the peak of Cop's career. I'm gonna talk about that later too. But Quas got really good after an LCS split.
I mean, if
Sneaky got really good after an LCS split. Like there's a few guys out there.
we'll get to this with Sneaky. Well, because Cloud9 did. I think Sneaky could have been good their first split. Thing is, like, no one in NA could figure out how to beat that stupid ass Zyra lane. So they're just like, why would we even try anything else? Literally,
That's true.
it was so stupid.
He wasn't that
Cloud9
good in
played-
Challenger though.
That's
Just to
true.
put a quick point in, when he played Challenger, he was solid, but he was their weak link in Challenger back then too. Like back when he played Challenger, by weak link I mean like if you're the weak link of like the best Challenger team ever, you're not that much of a weak link. But he was
Right.
not that great in his first split.
Lemon's known for raising good AD carries out. He's
Yeah.
like the Locodoco of NA. But
Except-
I guess with
Except for
right,
except for yeah,
except
Winter
he's still
Fox.
playing.
Except-
Sorry, look.
Winter Fox. Okay,
No.
Winter Fox.
Not quite yet. 1 second. Just back to XiaoWeiXiao.
Okay, yeah, sorry, keep going.
Impulse. Like, do you remember when they played TSM in the regionals? The Yasuo pentakill?
No, I do not. Unfortunately,
Okay.
link that game. Link that game in the.
All right, I'll link it to you. All right, so
Okay,
this
link
was
that game in the
absurd,
articles,
man.
yeah.
This was. I was watching now, and I'm a TSM fan. Please hate me. And I was watching this game, and it gave me a heart attack. Okay, so TSM's pushing into LMQ's base, right? And it's completely absurd. He turned around and literally single-handedly TSM killed. I'm looking for the video right now. Just give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. I'm saying it to you right now. It's just completely absurd. All right, here you go. All right, so if you watch the fight, all right, so No Name gets wrecked. Bjergsen's on Syndra, so No Name gets deleted the fight. He doesn't even get a chance to use his ultimate, right? Vasily gets killed by Amazing. Ackerman has like 3 bars of health, right? And then it's just like, it's literally Ackerman with 3 bars of health, more with like a third of health, and then XiaoWeiXiao just goes on a tear and literally kills everyone on his own. Part of it has to do with like those stupid like Yasuo crits, right?
Yeah.
Like the 800 health crit. And then the best part is he swag kills Bjergsen with Blade of the Ruined King.
Oh really?
But
Oh my god, yeah, I see what you're talking about
Yeah.
now. He
Like-
came in. That guy is really good.
on the other
That-
thing is he's like one of the best farmers of all time.
Yeah.
He
He is.
If you look at the top 5 fastest of 300 CS, he's second and fourth.
Yeah, I know.
So like
He's
he's
really good.
yeah. So I mean with XiaoWeiXiao on Impulse, like we have them ranked like 7th. They
Yeah.
could end up being way like I don't think they'll be top 3 just because they don't have enough depth, but they're gonna take some games and it's gonna shock some people. And if Rush is as good as those players he was around the same level of, as in like, because like if you look at some of the really good pairings in Korea, like if you took like Dade and let's say you took Mata and Dandy and threw them on a team of 5 crappers, they could probably 2 versus 5 and win anyway. Frankly.
Yeah.
So like if Rush is as good as the other solo queue, as the other players around his level in solo queue, if he can make the transition, Tip could be really good because Medios is good, but NA doesn't have like the true super carry junk. We don't have our Dandy, we don't have our Diamond. Medios is adjust to the meta depending on what's needed, but we don't have like an insect of our own.
Yeah.
If Rush is that guy, I mean, XiaoWeiXiao Impact and Rush could be enough to just.
Yeah, that's true.
Wiz and Adrian, they're not gonna get camped a lot. I mean,
Adrian's a player who I briefly want to talk about too.
Okay.
Because we actually haven't talked about him at all. And now that you brought that up, that guy, you can see he's another player who was a solo queue god on support. Right. You can see that he has never had success competitively. Like not even in Challenger. Like if you look at the big Challenger names, he was not a big Challenger name until. Like, he was a big Challenger name because he was well known for, smashing solo queue.
Right.
But he does not have a lot of Challenger accomplishments. He's an interesting player. He's good mechanically. He has that, like, mind game sense of, like, shooting skill shots and, like, walking up and scaring the other guy. But
right.
He has never been that good in competitive. I think he has the potential to be good in competitive. So their bot lane, it can either be really good or it can be, really bad, unfortunately.
For me with him, I'm interested to see how they do because, like, remember he was on Robert Morris University.
Yeah.
So he's like the litmus test, right?
Yeah,
he's
the
litmus test to see if like having scholarship League of Legends players works because he was like their collegiate series roster was like undefeated. So I guess it's
but it's against like college teams, right? Like college teams have like gold players on them sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, not some of the best ones. Like I was at PAX East last year, and they had, I think it was like Boston College versus like Boston University or something like that, and they were all diamond and high diamond players. So
oh,
it's not
really?
like. So I do because that PAX East is in Boston.
Yeah.
So I do. That's what interests me with Adrian. Just see if like. Is that a successful step? Because Robert Morris University has gotten a lot of hate because people are just like. They think it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
So
Wintfox.
Wintfox, right.
I feel so bad about their pickups, dude. Like
everyone thought they were gonna be like top 4.
People thought they were getting Impact and like Mothball or something. It was like, yo guys, let's get Impact and Mothball. I was like, hey, that seems like a pretty good team. Like
what was the other pickup?
Mothball, like he was on the KT Bullets.
Okay, alright, yeah.
Like that was the rumor. But okay, I've heard that Imagine is a legit really good player. I don't know if he'll be as good as Crepo.
Do both Pobelter and Altex speak Korean?
I don't think Altex speaks Korean, dude.
One of them does.
I'm pretty sure Altex is Chinese.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I actually don't know that for sure. I
think I've seen an interview where Pobelter speaks in... I don't know. I was trying to think of how communication would work for them potentially with their Diamond 1 Korea pickups because they have Helios is
Imagine is Challenger.
Imagine is Challenger. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I don't know if he'll be as good as Crepo, like you mentioned. Crepo was actually really good.
Right.
He was maybe the third best support. Like he was about as good as Lemonation. Actually, that guy was really good. The one thing is Avalon. So I've heard mixed things about him.
Right?
I've heard mixed things about him. The funny thing is he was almost going to be on CJ Blaze back in the day. He was the original trial, and they brought in another guy, and then that guy like completely stomped Scrims playing Irelia, and that guy was Flame, right? So
I like how you mentioned that in passing. You're talking like you don't. You're like that guy. I don't know his name. And then you're like, oh, by the way, it's Flame.
It's Flame. Probably the greatest top laner of all time. So actually, there's no shame in getting cut for Flame, but he hasn't played competitively ever. He's literally tried to play competitively for the last 2-3 years. He's never made it. He's Diamond 1 only. I don't know how bad that is. Like say he's Diamond 1 sounds pretty bad, but there are some players in solo queue right now who are Diamond 1. If you're trying to make it into the pro scene and you're Diamond 1, that's pretty bad. I don't know how I feel about him. I have not heard anything about how good he is, but there are some people who I've been talking to who say that his champion pool is mostly just play those tanky top laners like the Dr. Mundo and the Renekton, and he'll just try to play it safe.
To bring Renekton back. I think they have some buffs for him on PB, right?
Maybe that'll help him out, but he's just going to try to play it safe and just be a big tank. So the one thing that I am worried about is, guys, is this team better than the old EG team that finished like almost last place? Like that's the thing, right? Like people are like, yo guys, EG is going to be really good, and I'm like, yeah, like their 3 players are, their 2 stars are developing.
Right.
They're looking good, and then they lost Krepo, who was a really big player for them. Krepo was really good. They lost Krepo.
He's really good. He's one of those guys they talk about, and they'll say, he's a great clubhouse president.
Yeah.
They'll say that for like traditional sports. I think that was like Krepo. Like he's a great person. Like someone like Cris is like the opposite, where it's just like he has a reputation for being toxic.
Krepo's post looked pretty mad though. He seemed pretty mad. I think Krepo's a really good reputation among the fans. I don't know how well that actually fit in the EG dynamic. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
Just based on that one post. But no, he also brought. The one thing is, I want to mention he did bring a lot of legitimate skills. That's the one thing I really want to mention. That guy, he was good on engages. Like, he was a good engager. And, oh man, what was I saying? Yeah, he was a good engager, and they're going to struggle without him. Like, I don't know how good Imagine is. He might not be as good as Krepo. And, okay, Avalon, look, I thought Inox was pretty bad, but what if Avalon's worse than Inox? And then
I don't know, because Inox, like, if you're looking at like, the top 3 worst top laners in the LCS history, I think Inox is probably in there.
Yeah, he was not very good, unfortunately. But
and like I say this knowing fact that I would get completely dumpstered if I laned against him. Without a doubt, I'm sure. But
he just
comparatively to the other NA top laners, and this is a region that doesn't even have great top lane history. It's like Balls and Dyrus.
Yeah,
Dyrus has been around for this is his 5th season, and he's been like top 2 or 3 top the entire time. And that hasn't really happened at other positions. Xpecial's been in top 4, but normally the new players come up and they're better.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been those new players.
Top and support are. That's why I thought Wintfox had such a great thing going. I thought that had a great thing going though, because it looks better. Because I think Bunny and Sheep are definitely gonna buff it up a little bit. But I've always felt that top, jungle, and support were the positions you should import for, and jungle, and they did that. But they just, I'm just not sure they got the right guys.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's just like if you're gonna import and bring in language communication issues, they need to be much better than people you could have gotten locally.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I think if you look outside the LCS, the support pool is kind of dry. Like who's available outside the NALCS. So I can see there, but at the same time, just like I guess they could have maybe brought in xmithie. I mean, xmithie's on Origin, but they had
I don't know.
They had the resources, the spot,
sure, yeah.
Right? And they had the 2 spots for players that aren't exempt. They had the 2 spots for international players.
Just from what it looks like, it doesn't seem like they made the right move. Maybe we'll find out.
I don't think so either.
Maybe we'll be wrong. Like we don't have that insider knowledge, but just speculating from the outside, it looks like they really messed with the chance to build something really special with that lineup.
Like,
some people still say they'll be top 4, by the way, but I think 6 is right about where they'll be, or 7.
Glebe is having these. Obviously, he's having a lot of personal issues, but I would probably go with. He looked okay on TSM. He looked okay on Fusion.
I mean, they're still having him as a sub.
Right. I would rather have him as okay than like take the risk for the communication issues.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's actually a really big risk to import. Like importing rookies has never worked out. Like think of like old Quantic team. Think of Seraph. Like the imports who we think are successful are like Bjergsen, who's just he had a full split. You knew what you were getting. Who else? I'm trying to think. Lost Boy, a whole career pretty much.
What about Vasily? Was Vasily on? Was he a fresh pickup when they phoned down?
No, okay. So the thing is that LMQ team had experience. Right? Yeah, that LMQ team had experience playing together, and because they basically just imported a team over who already played in Season 3. They weren't good in Season 3,
right?
But they got better, and they got better, and NA was not as good as China, obviously.
No, but then they went to Worlds, and like they
just got better.
They gave all the teams a run for their money. Like they were not significantly behind the Chinese team in their
The one thing, oh man, what was the thing I wanted to talk about? The one thing I did want to bring up though, regarding importing rookies, was just that we'll talk about this more later. But I feel like TSM really got they kind of got shafted by how like all these like Wintfox and Tip were both able to get around the import export rules. I'll talk a little bit more about Santorin later. I've watched a lot of his games in the challenger scene, so
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit more about him later. But just from like also from an outsider perspective, he may have gotten a lot better, or he may have he was playing with a lot of hype in Europe, but it seemed like they could have gotten some other better names in that position. Just looking at TSM as like a brand. Okay, so the one team I wanted to talk about next is CLG.
Well, hold up.
Or-
I wanted
okay.
to say one more thing with Pope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wintfox, they spent at least a few months since Worlds in Korea, didn't they?
Yeah, they've been boot camping there.
So, I mean, and there's been, obviously all those, like, top play videos that hit Reddit with Pole Belter, playing against Faker and all those types of things. Pole Belter has always obviously had the mechanics to be really good, and Altec, honestly, like, I think Altec's top 2, top 3 AD carry already. I mean, Altec's very good.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
Pole
that
Belter,
guy's really good.
if Pole Belter can actually maintain his top form, he's going to be, that's really good. Like, because he's willing to make the plays. He just needs a little bit of experience to know when to not make the play. Because Pole Belter's like, it's like the Soul Cube mentality if you're playing Lee Sin, if the Q lands, you go in.
Yeah.
That's Pole Belter.
Yeah.
If the Q lands, I'm going in. So I think, I don't know. It's the same as Impulse. They have 2 good players and then 3 players where you're just kind of like, well, okay, 2 good players. Helios is the one that's like in the middle, and then there's the 2 players you're like, this is questionable.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just I know there's a bunch of teams like that. And I think we're about to get to another one.
Yeah, CLG. So CLG is another team where they could like the real way I feel like to conceptualize these rankings is to put them into tiers. Like the top 3 is a clear first tier. Like
Right.
Cloud9, TSM, and Liquid is one tier,
Mhm.
and then below that is
Like a group of 4. Like
a group of 4: Gravity, CLG, Wintfox, and then probably Tip, and then
Well, for you, it's Coast.
yeah, I think Coast is. I think
for
Coast
me,
and
it's
Tip are.
For you, it's Coast.
Yeah, I think Tip can be in that tier too, and then below that is like Dignitas and Team 8 are probably in the bottom tier, like just they're probably just pretty much in the bottom tier.
Yeah,
The one,
I don't see much hope for Dignitas or Teammate.
yeah,
Some people seem kind of high. Some teams seem kind of high on Teammate.
yeah. No, some people are like it's like I mentioned. I do think they have some strengths. I still don't.
Right.
Anyways, CLG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, CLG. For me, it's just like, okay, so they downgraded their jungler, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Dexter Xmas is a downgrade, and
Peak
I think
Dexter,
they upgraded.
Like Peak Dexter is a downgrade. Xmithie is a downgrade. Peak Dexter, but if the Dexter we saw
their top laner though.
Yeah.
Zion Martin's and he's actually the type of top laner CLG needs because he's okay being left alone.
Yeah.
And CLG like they can't shake that. I'm just gonna abandon the top laner mentality, but Zion can do that. Like
the weird thing about Zion is he is a carry top laner, but he does operate by himself. Like it's weird how that happens because not a lot of top laners who try to carry are like that. A lot of times like, yo man, camp my lane. Like I'm gonna snowball this. Zion, you might want to gank him right at the start of the game, but other than that, he's just kind of doing his own thing up there. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so up and down. He didn't impress me too much on Dignitas last split. I think it was probably his worst split to date. Because even when he was on Coast, like Zion had those games where he just 1 versus 5. It was always on Jax because for some reason people gave him Jax, which is
he was also good on Jason Vladimir back in the day. He was good on those 2 champs,
but right now
not anymore.
It's Jax. Like he didn't have those games on. He didn't have those games on Dignitas. I think I don't know. I think he's just low to up and down. I'd like to see how. I'd like to see him be a little more consistent and also play meta champions. And the problem is he's not good on tanky top laners.
Yeah.
So, and that's been the meta for a while now.
Yeah.
It's been the meta. He was best back in spring when it was like the Mundo, Shyvana, Renekton, and he could pick Jax into that. And if he could survive the
his Lee Sin was also pretty good.
Yeah.
But Lee Sin isn't viable top anymore after they've like nerfed him.
No, he's not. Nope. He just like if you put Lee Sin against like a Gnar or something, you just get dumped down.
See you later, buddy.
But Link, I mean, we had Link rated as like the tied for the worst mid laner, and
that was a very negative reaction. He's definitely better than the worst mid laner. Like
I agree. Yeah, I think our math worked out. We're just like,
there were some weird rankings. We'll talk about them more. Like
a
lot of them ended up pretty weird. We'll need to figure that one out. The other one was apparently we ranked Lemonation lower. People are pretty upset on the Cloud9 Reddit third round. We ranked Lemonation lower than Bunny and Sheep. We'll get onto that later because I actually do think Lemonation's worse than Bunny and Sheep. But we'll get onto that one later.
I think because he does what he needs to do, but he's not going to go and make like a super great play. I do think he and Sneaky are just like a godlike pairing now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more later. Like, don't want to split it up too much.
Like Link, I mean, Alex Ich wanted to come to NA. Like he's a sub for Team 8 right now.
Yeah.
So if COG could have gotten Alex Ich, they have these spots for an international player.
Yeah, what is going on?
I want to know if they tried him out. Because they tried out a bunch of players and then they decided Link was the best option.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, like they need someone to give that team direction, and I think Alex Ich would give that team direction.
Yeah, that's one thing. CLG does not have an identity right now.
Nope.
I wanted to talk a little bit. First thing I want to talk about was Xmithie. Xmithie still got it. That guy's good. Like, that guy's good. Wait, nobody knows this, but he played on XDG in the Challenger Split Series. He played on XDG in the Challenger Series for, yeah. He played on the Challenger Series. He went against Team 8, and he basically won his team the series, but they lost it for him. Like, it was genuinely one of the best jungle series I've seen in a while. Obviously, it was against challenger teams, but you could clearly see he was a step above everyone else. What happened was, so his team was iCannyU top lane, pretty big top lane name. That guy's good.
He's the guy on the new. He's on the new Liquid Academy team, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He role swapped, which is weird.
No, he's on the new CLG team. He's on the new CLG team. He says 80 carry as 80 carry. Yes. No, that guy's good. And then they had Baby Zeus mid. Not the best. And they had Latman and 10Q, I believe, in bot lane. And they were not a very good bot lane at all. Like,
isn't 10Q the alias for another player?
There was one game where, like I kid you not, like, I'm pulling up the stats right now. What happened was, so game 2, XDG won, but
10Q is Adrian's alternate ID.
Is it really?
Yeah, so is it Adrian who was the support for them back then?
I'm trying to look it up.
10Q. Yeah, 10Q is Adrian.
Oh, really? That's crazy. Yeah. I actually never knew that. All right, I like to pretend I'm an expert, but I'm not.
That was one of those. I have a lot of random knowledge. I just randomly remembered that was someone else. Yeah, so that was actually Adrian.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, just go to esports PD page.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Yep.
Huh. That's really funny.
He was acquired by XDG, competing in NACS Summer Playoffs, but they lost to Team 8.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what happened was, Latman, he's playing on Brawl with Alex Ich right now. I never thought that guy was really good. Like that guy was, obviously stats don't tell the whole story, but XDG match 2 versus Team 8. XDG ties the series 1-1. Final score is XDG has 17 kills and Team 8 has 6, but Latman went 1, 2, and 4. So, like, he was getting really carried by, like, iCannyU and xmithie. Those two guys came so big in that series, and he had a game 3, they ended up throwing the game against Team 8, but they almost won, and xmithie had one of the best Lee Sin kicks I've seen in a long time. Like, that guy still got it, I think, and I think if he can continually tap into that, like, that high level of gameplay, on his Elise...
He could be better than... Well, Elise got nerfed pretty bad, though. Like, people are playing... They're trying to buffer back a little bit, but... I mean, it's not like jungle is a super competitive position in NA.
Yeah.
So he could certainly, he doesn't have to come back to his previous form when he was on Vulcan at his peak to still be a good jungler for LCS.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be that good.
Yeah.
So I do think I don't know. It bothers me that they just stuck with Link. I think
it's a poor roster.
You need to make a change, at least to freshen things up a little bit.
It's a poor roster making like mentality in general, like to stick with proven mediocrity. Because, like, who are them? In the, you know what the weird thing is? Bunny and Sheep were not well-known challenger players. I mean, I think Sheep was, but Bunny was like a somewhat well-known. Like, I mean, if you remember back in the day, people were mostly talking about Nidus Remain, rather who I don't know where that guy went, but Bunny was not a well-known player. Sheep was well-known because him and Mashme carried. They were balling back then too. They carried Curse Academy and beat LMQ in the NACL, and people were really freaked out about that. They went like 13-0 in laning phase, and people were like, "What is going on?" And he was playing like Sivir too, back when Sivir sucked. Anyway, so
Sivir was really good for like half of a split because his ultimate's done. But then they instituted like two or three items that pretty much do what. I mean, you might as well buy that new tank item that they have now.
Anyways, people were so confused by that. But anyways, back on topic. The team that we were talking about was COG. Okay, so yeah, Link just proven mediocrity. Like the Dignitas / Cris approach of randomly trying out new guys like Bunny, like Golden Glue. I don't think Golden Glue is that good right now, but it's worth a shot to try those guys out. And COG really should have done that. They're not going to win with Link, and he also contributes to a fundamental identity problem, which is that a team with a strong bot lane carry, by necessity, you can't have a strong bot lane. People think the reason why CLG doesn't have a strong top lane carry is because of Doublelift, and that's partially true. But the other reason why it's not true is because of Link, actually, and it's because of gold generation / setups. It's impossible
There's only
for
so much gold to go around.
It's impossible for teams to have a strong top lane carry and a strong bot lane carry most of the time, simply because the jungler has to move in like weird ways such that he can gank the topmost part of the map and the bottommost part of the map. And that's very difficult, and that's why Seraph didn't work out, because honestly Seraph wasn't that good, but also because like they were best when Seraph was playing those supportive picks, and he moved away from them, and that was a problem in and of itself.
And that wasn't his strength. His strength was carry top laners.
Yeah, and then Link is not a roaming mid laner. Like,
he would do it though. He would do it and just like stay in a bush for like 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's not happening.
There was a stat where he was like winning his lane like 85% of the time or something like that until level 9. I
heard about that.
Right, and then he'd do these roams. Like when High leaves lane, stuff happens. Like
he's getting
kills happen, then a dragon, like, and that's what Conrad's really good at. Like they turn a kill into other things. Like Link leaves lane, it's just like, okay, well that's like 15 free CS for the other team, and he AFKs in the bush. For what's worth, Aphromoo thinks Link's gonna be really good this year.
Yeah,
he did a vlog about it a little while ago.
It's possible, but like, what's more likely? Like, someone changing who they are after 2 years, literally 2 years of playing, or like a new guy coming up. I mean, like, he may be like the latest bloomer to ever play the game, but it's not too likely in my opinion.
It's good. It would require a fundamental change in COG's identity.
Yeah,
because I don't know if Doublelift can ever step back from being Doublelift.
That's a quick thing that I wanted to note. I agree with that to some extent, but I feel like CLG turns to the Protect the Doublelift style. It's weird because people associate that style with losing, and very rightfully associate that style with losing, as CLG's worst time periods have all been playing that style.
Right.
The weird thing is CLG was extremely successful when they were playing that like rotations-based style. Where like, because Doublelift, the one thing about Doublelift is he's so good at sieging. Like you'd see him siege towers on like 500 range Sivir, and like the other guy would somehow not be able to get him. It was sick. Like he would juke out the skill shots, or like he'd spell shot at the perfect time, and he'd be sieging on Sivir, and the other team would be like, how can we stop this? The thing about Doublelift, he's so good. But, like just in that one area, like that's one of his strongest laning and sieging. Like, the back and forth movement of that is one of his strongest areas. But anyways, what I want to say was they turn to the Protect the Doublelift style when they don't turn to that style when they like by default. They turn to that style when things are going really poorly. Like
I want to make an argument about that.
Okay.
I think we're finding the wrong reason for why that style wasn't successful. I don't think it wasn't successful because the style doesn't work. I think it wasn't successful because think of who else was on COG when they played that style.
Yeah, they had.
They had a really ring that. I mean, that was. If you ever think about it, like Hotshot GG was like NA Wicked. If you didn't have Nidalee, he just wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So it was just like
He had a weak team, but the thing is, like, no, what I'm talking about is recently Protect the Double, like, such as when they
right.
turned to the Curse playoffs, turned against Curse Academy. The thing is, yeah, like, if you fucked the first two games, if you remember, they weren't playing Protect the Double at the first game. They were playing a random strategy where Link played AP Kog'Maw and, like, shot R, like, the wrong direction a few times. I think AP Kog'Maw is pretty good, actually.
That was like, oh my god! I remember watching that game. I had to turn it off.
He was
That
not
was really
well.
bad. That
His
was
Kog'Maw
really
mechanics were pretty off, and
bad. Off.
yeah, they were pretty off, and his that was not a good game. Like they were playing like how do I put it like, and at the end they lost the game because Doublelift was trying to force a play, so he flash forwarded on Twitch to try to kill Xpecial on Zillion, and yeah, that didn't work. And people are like, haha, guys, Doublelift is throwing, but I've always felt that Doublelift. I would rather have a player like. I would rather, yeah, exactly.
He's doing it because he sees no choice. Like, and it's almost always no choice. Like he's the only one fed. It's just like if Doublelift isn't carrying that game, no one's carrying that game.
Yeah, the recent Thorn's Thoughts video covered my opinion on that perfectly. He was like, Doublelift will never lose the game like 1-0. He'll lose the game like 2-8.
Right.
And it's like, okay, buddy, like I'll take that. Honestly, I'll take that in my star player. Like,
if he's gonna, he goes down fighting. He goes down fighting pretty much. Like he will try his he. I bet he's the guy that no matter how far you're down, probably says no.
Yeah, and
he's that guy. He's just like
that's where Protect the Doublelift.
Come back.
That's where Protect the Doublelift comes in, because like they don't do Protect the Doublelift in like the first series, in the first game of the series. They're like, all right, guys, like this is probably what happens in the CLG comps. Like I'm not even kidding. Like just this also speculation, but from what it looks like as an outsider, they play the first game, they lose. Some of their players are kind of tilty. They go on tilt.
Right.
Game 2, they try the same thing and they lose. Like, if you remember, they weren't trying to protect the double in Cris either. The first game, they had Link play Zillion, and they were trying to make Seraph carry on Rise. They were, like, camping his lane, and then it didn't work. And then eventually they shifted into playing Doublelift top lane, and they're like, oh, yeah, look, guys, like, Dexter's, like, ganking Double's lane, like, 8 times. And it's like, yeah, because Seraph lost the lane really badly the first time around. And it's like...
That shows how bad Cris is, because then Seraph went on to...
Yeah.
He dumpstered Cris with Rise.
Oh
with the champion that he was not good at.
Oh
Here's the thing, I don't think CLG is not good at protection comps. Like, if you look at TSM's really good at the Protect the 80
Yeah, they actually are. Like
they pick up, because Dyrus is good on Lulu.
Yeah.
They put Orianna on Orianna.
Really good.
They're really good at the Protect the 80 carry comp, and CLG is not. Like, that's a perfectly fine comp to run. Like, you pick last season, pick Tristana, do Protect the area comp, survive to 30 minutes, and you've won the game.
Yeah, no, like, honestly, this is what I see when Double, like they're playing the game, and then people are like, yo, guys, like, we lost the first 2 games, and Double's like, alright, guys, I'm just gonna pick Vayne or Tristana or, like...
That's the problem, is Vayne, I think.
Yeah,
because
I don't think Vayne's
really likes Vayne, but with the mobility creep, like, I get Uzi can do it, but with the mobility creep, like, you can't do...
For me, Double's best champ has always been Graves, actually.
Yeah, you can't do Protect the 80 carry with Vayne, because Vayne's range is so short that, like, they're gonna burn through the shields.
Yeah.
Anyway, like...
And I think he's just like, alright, guys, I'm just gonna try to carry this game, pick me. And then fans see it and they're like, oh, look, guys, like they're going to Protect the Doublelift again. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, their other strategies weren't working out too well. I feel like Protect the Doublelift speaks more to their identity problems than the other way around. Like, I don't think their identity problems are because of Protect the Doublelift. I think that they don't have an identity, so they turn towards it. And I'm worried for them next split. But like I mean, people always do it. Oh yeah, guys, friendship. It's like so good. But like, hey, maybe it'll actually help them out this split, dude. They tried playing some like better players. So maybe the friendship factor will help them out this split. If it does, I mean, I'd laugh pretty hard, and I guess I could stop making fun of people who say that, because they have a shot at that in that respect.
I want to touch on Aphro, then we probably have to at least mention Scarra. But so one of the biggest things we got as far as a community response, and particularly at me, was because I gave Aphro an 8. Yeah. Everyone else gave him a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, I think I gave him a 9 or a 10, if I remember.
And a lot of people were like, thinking, it was like, how could you rank Aphromoo below Xpecial, for example? And I think I ranked him below he ended up second. I mean, he ended up with he ended up with the second best support rated. But my logic here is when TSM needed someone like I look at the season 3 playoffs when they're trying to qualify. Because remember, Summer Split Season 3 didn't go well for TSM. Because everyone mentions how good C9 was. But Vulcan was just as, it was C9 and Vulcan close to each other. Like, Vulcan could actually beat C9.
If you remember, a lot of people thought that CLG was going to beat TSM in that first series.
Yeah, they did.
And there was the Chowster crescendo. And,
oh my god.
No, CLG... CLG threw the game 1 too. They were winning game 1 and they threw, and then they were winning game 2 and they threw again. Like
I didn't know you could miss crescendo like that. And the thing is, he shouldn't have flashed.
He would have made it if he didn't flash.
Right, he flashed himself out of range.
Oh my god!
But,
all right.
Yeah, with the thing with that was like when TSM wasn't great that regionals in 2013, but like if you watch like Xpecial made so many plays.
He's so good.
Like he's
just a god.
He steps up in the playoffs.
Honestly, Xpecial is probably a top 5, maybe top 3 support ever to play the game.
Top 3 might be a little pushing it because I mean, I guess maybe because it's
he might be top 3, right?
It's Mada
and Madlife, and it might just be but just by longevity, he might be top 3. Maybe just by longevity, he might be top 3. I think he's certainly top 5. That guy's really fucking good.
Yeah, because I mean, what's the competition? I don't think Yellowstar is better.
There's probably like Edward. Like Yellowstar might be. I don't think Yellowstar is better right now. Actually, people say Yellowstar is better right now. I think Yellowstar is a clutch player. I think Yellowstar is a good roamer.
His peak was when Andy was in meta last spring. He had a really good Andy. But,
he was really good on those engagey champs. But Xpecial, his versatility and his his clutch play is it's so good.
When COG needed Aphromoo to step up, like. Aphromoo was, without a doubt, the best player on COG last summer.
Yeah.
And they hit the playoffs, and he's the guy he's the guy that should have been the one just like, I'm going to will my team to victory. And it's just like, he was missing. He was like missing
he made some
skill
he didn't
shots.
Quick point though, I don't think he made bad. He wasn't like a feeder. It's wrong to call Aphromoo a choker. He's just not a clutch player yet.
No, he's not. He's not Derek Jeter.
He used to be a genuine choker back when he played AD carry. Now, I think he's stepping it up a little bit. I think he has potential to be really good. But at the same time, comparing someone to Xpecial is like crazy. Like I tweeted about this earlier. Xpecial is one of the most clutch players ever to play the game. It's like Xpecial.
He's the best player in history.
Uzi, and that's like, I think that's like it. Like those 3 are like the holy trinity of just being a clutch player. Like there are players who are better than them. But just in terms of stepping it up, and I do agree that he's the best in history.
It's him, and probably Meteos, and Meteos is probably second. Because Meteos he's only been here a split and a half. But honestly, like when you look at best player in history, I don't think we can count before season 3.
Yeah,
I don't think we count season 1, season 2.
Who was good in season 2? Oh man, this sounds like something I could write an article about later.
Who was good in season 2?
Same Vicious.
Xpecial. He was good. Support was interesting because. What made Xpecial good then was because remember how little gold support used to get? It was just like they had enough gold for boots and wards. Yeah, and if they could get enough gold for Shirelias, it was just like a big deal. Yeah, but he managed to make plays despite having no gold. That's what set him apart. Yeah, no, that's my thing, Aphromoo, is that I just don't think he doesn't step up in the playoffs. And teams like if you TSM and Cloud9, for example, or like Alliance or any of those top teams, they entered. It's winning the split or bust. They enter the season winning the split or bust. A team like Team 8 enters just like, hey, if I make playoffs, we had a pretty good first split.
Yeah, that's true.
TSM, Cloud9, and CLG should be that team. They've
CLG should forever. Be, yes. They should be.
So you can't just be like, oh, well, he was good in the regular season. But that's not... CLG didn't enter the summer... Because remember, CLG finished the spring split really good.
People forget about that. They're like, oh, God, CLG's like, no, they were third. They almost beat TSM.
Right, they
had that really crazy thing that happened against TSM. Like, TSM made, like... If you remember, CLG was up by 5k gold, and then Xpecial flash hooked onto Link and killed him.
Yeah, that's why...
Jax's ward jump didn't work, and then they lost the game. And I was like, oh, my God.
I think they were going to lose anyway once that High died, because the ward jump, I think he still would have died. But, that was... So CLG entered the summer split with the
And they were first for a long time there in the split too. Just
right.
to note that they were first for like almost the whole split with Dignitas.
Yeah. So they entered expecting to win. So it's one of those things where it's not like you can't say he did good in spring split because they are expecting to win.
Yeah,
so
you have to judge them with like the highest level.
Like if you look at you like basketball, the Lakers. They don't enter the regular season, but like, yeah, if we make the playoffs, we did pretty good. It's like, no, you win the championship, or Kobe's going to be really pissed for the next year. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's not fun for Scarra. I really like the pickup.
Really?
I
why?
do. I think he's going to do a lot. I don't think they're going to have these issues. Dexter is a better player than Link, and COG lost Dexter because Link and Dexter didn't get along.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, they lost the better. Like they would have rather have lost Link and keep Dexter.
Yeah.
Like Dexter was top 2, top 3 jungler last split, in my opinion. So
I agree.
And that was because Link wouldn't duo queue with them.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to speculate just as an outsider, like what's happening with all that. Just a quick pause. Like I always bring that up because I don't want people to think
it was on videotape saying it was recorded. It's the same as just like if we're gonna bring up all those things where Reggie bullied Xpecial and Direct, we have sorry. But if the community is going to assume those are not staged, then we also have to be fair, assume that those COG videos weren't staged either.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Which means that to treat the two teams fairly, because I'm not a hater of either. We have to assume that was either assume that both were staged or neither were staged. And I guess this is a circle jerk with the subreddit, but how do you have enough time to be top 100 in another game?
Okay, that's okay.
I get that they have like long queue times, but you have to probably play a lot of Hearthstone to be one of the best 100 players in the country. There's like a billion. Okay.
Let me put a quick pause there. I personally disagree with that one. I semi-agree with you. Like, I mean, I certainly don't think it bodes well. Like, if that makes sense. Like, you certainly, but it's not that bad. Diamond Prox used to be really good at Hearthstone too.
For me, it just means he should, if he's struggling that much, all the time.
Yeah, maybe he
Hearthstone,
could probably practice more. Yeah, certainly. He probably could practice more.
He does it in queue, but he could watch VODs or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think Scarra would do a lot to helping give COG an identity, or at least give them structure.
What makes you say that? Because Dignitas was a team that had a very similar season to what CLG had last week with Scarra as coach. Like that's the reason why I'm a little hesitant to jump onto like the Scarra.
Because it was kind of like a half-assed coaching type position though. Like it was just like he got benched by Dignitas owners, and then what other choice does he have?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like I could either not be part of like Dignitas, despite the fact they didn't finish well and they're probably not going to be good this season. Like they're one of the founding brands. They're like one of the pillars of the NALCS. Like TSM, COG, Cris, and Dignitas have been in the NALCS all for 5 splits now.
Yeah.
Right? So they're synonymous with the NALCS. So what are you going to do? Leave? Get picked up by I think he was put in a rough spot, and then they kind of waffled. They brought him back after they tried Golden Glue and it didn't work. So I think, and obviously picking up Shiphtur was great, but it's weird.
No, I see what you mean. No, I see what you mean.
Fix their problems. I think he'll be good from I'm not saying he might be good from a gameplay perspective.
No,
I don't think I think he's more of a because COG did. I think judging from what we've seen, COG needs a live-in coach. And even if Monty's not the best coach...
Yeah, Monty mentioned that too. He said that
Even if Scarra is not the best coach, the fact that he's a live-in coach and can be there is going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to help their gameplay much. He might be able to help picks and bans. It's certainly nice to have someone who's doing nothing but coach, but I think he'll be good for at least, like, keeping the team... Like, Scarra's respected. He's a affable guy. I think... he's been around the scene a while, and I think the players will at least give him respect.
Yeah.
So I think that'll at least be good for CLG.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I think Monty is a better coach. I think, but he can't live there.
Yeah.
Obviously, if COG could have had Monte Cristo living in the COG house, they would have been like, yeah, okay. I'm sure they wish they had the money to pay it, but I mean, the money's not. It's nice that Riot is offering money for salary for the coaches now. They're getting the same the players are.
Yeah.
It gives retiring players like an avenue to follow when they retire. Like gives them a place to go.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But yeah, I am tenuously somewhat up on CLG. I think they could. I mean, we put them fifth. I think fifth is probably better than a lot of people think they're going to be, and also worse than a lot of people think because there are always going to be fanboys that are like CLG top 3 forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're not going to be they have Doublelift and Aphromoo. I don't think they're not going to be, and Zion's fine. They're not going to be the worst team in the LCS.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break right now, and then because I have a lot to say about Gravity. That's another one of those teams I watch extensively. So we'll take a quick maybe 5-minute break. I need to grab some water, and then we'll fill out the rest of it, and also talk about go through the rest of the teams and our plans for next split.
All right. Sounds good.